Perfect. Okay, can everyone hear? No problem?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay, so we'll bring the meeting to order. Welcome to the Environment and Sustainability meeting for this Monday, October the 30th. Can I have approval of the agenda, please? Sure.
I'll
Thank you,
approve.
Bob. Seconder. Thank you, Trevor. Any declaration of conflict of interest? Nope. Seeing none, we'll move to approval of the previous draft minutes from September 18th, 2023. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
I'll move.
Sure. Thank you very much. Moved by Trevor, seconded by Bobby. Business arising from the minutes. Is there any business arising from the minutes?
I just have one question, Chair Bernard, about the stump program. I know in the minutes we were going to look at it to see if we could go back to help people that made the criteria there. I was wondering, is there any development on that?
Okay, so my understanding of that, Bobby, I was going to bring it up in our committee meeting, but I'll answer it now. So my understanding of that is, talking to staff, that they don't see any changes. The criteria is still the same because of issues with trying to prove receipts and stumps and the size of the stumps and whose receipts they are and stuff like that. So they're recommending to leave it as is. And apparently I'm told that a lot of the questions that have arisen were the same questions that were voted on the night this was talked about, and council voted to leave it as is. So the only thing I could say right now is if our committee wanted to make changes, then our committee could recommend, looking at it again and going back to council. So if that appetite is there, then council can let me know now. So,
Okay.
Councillor McKinnon, is there any appetite to move on this or leave it the way it is?
No, I think we should, in my opinion, is just leave it as status quo, leave the criteria as it is for now, and just move forward with the program.
Okay. Your Worship, what's your wishes?
Status quo.
Status quo. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So there we have it. Okay. So, discussions and
Well,
reports.
thank you. I just wanted
Bobby, go ahead.
to say thank you, Chair Bernard. I appreciate that. I'll just go back to the residents and just say that, this committee did not want to go down that road to help the people that fit the criteria, that had the receipts, that had saved it. But if I'm voted on it, then that's no problem. I'll just be able to tell them, and we'll move on. Thank you for discussing it here. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Okay, so discussion reports. Consultant award for Oceana Urban Forest Reforestation Strategy. Simon, you want to speak on that, please?
Certainly. So we put out an RFP for a post-Fiona urban forest restoration strategy, and our recommendation is to go with the proposal from Dugan and Associates at $78,839 plus HST.
I have to say, Simon, I can't believe how close the two bids were.
Yeah.
That's the closest I've ever seen to $2.
Yeah.
Wow, less than $2.
Yeah, but it was about $2,000.
837 and 839. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is 2,000. Sorry, 78.
Still pretty close.
I got to put my glasses on here.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, no, they were very close. Even at $2,000, that's less than that's only a couple of percentage points away from one another, and they were both very closely scored as well. But Dugan and Associates slightly edged out for the recommendation for that one. The report itself is based on a two-part process where, to begin with, we'll be looking at a assessment of the canopy loss following post-tropical storm Fiona. That will involve an extensive examination of satellite imagery and using remote sensing technology, as well as the city's own inventories, to look at and compare the two, the current canopy versus the canopy prior to Fiona, and then engaging in some ground truthing. And then once we have that data, the development of a strategy to put the canopy back to the standard it was before, at least over the course of 5 years.
Perfect. I was wondering that because I knew we had some inventory on the canopy in the past, so we're able to review the past and look at the damage from Fiona, and then map out where we should be planting trees in to get that canopy back. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's looking at all the opportunities where we can put the trees back. Sometimes it may not be practical or possible for us to replant in places where we specifically lost trees. A lot of the canopy will be lost on institutional and private property. So a lot of the time we'll be looking for opportunities to compensate for loss in one place by replanting in somewhere else.
Right. So I think when we did this canopy inventory in the past, though, we still looked at basically what was city property and where was city right of ways and where we'd be planting. So I'm assuming we can look at that inventory and then compare it to today after Fiona.
We're losing you there, Councillor Bernard. You're getting far away. Speak up a little bit, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Trevor. So Simon, I'm assuming that the canopy, the history we have of the canopy that was already taken through satellite, and it would be on city property, city right-of-ways. So we would be comparing that canopy post-Fiona to the same canopy after Fiona. And that's what would determine where we decide to plant a lot of these trees.
In this case, not exactly. Our previous canopy studies and this canopy study will look at the entire municipal area, inclusive of private, institutional, and municipal and various level government properties. So looking at the canopy as a whole, under the approach that we benefit from the canopy in its totality, and it's a shared responsibility between everyone, and we will look at different approaches to restoring that canopy.
Okay. A1. Thank you, Simon.
No problem.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I just have a point to make here.
sure thing. Yeah, go ahead.
This past Saturday, Simon and Nancy McMahon, Eric Edward, Gary Snyder, they were part of the Victoria Park 150th anniversary tree planting and commemoration. And I just want to, I know it falls into the urban forest reforestation strategy.
Yeah.
I asked Gary and I was asking Simon about how many trees did come down from Fiona due to Fiona, and Gary and Simon, I think, estimated about 350, 400. Is that right, Simon?
That was specifically for Victoria Park.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And thus far, we've planted over, 250, 300 trees, replanted?
Oh, yeah. Yes, certainly.
So, Mr. Chair, I think that's a great achievement by the department working with Gary Snyder, Eric Edward from McPhail Woods, is it? Yeah. And what we've accomplished thus far. And I think the replant will continue. So a big shout out to the whole effort from Environment Sustainability and Nancy McMahon with Parks, Recreation and Leisure. Thank you, sir.
No, that's very good. That's very good. It's really good to hear that. So the estimate was 350 to 400 trees that come down from Fiona, and 250 of them have been replanted in year one. That's great news. Thanks for bringing that up, Your Worship. And great job, Simon. And great job for Nancy McMahon and the department. Wow.
And Mr. Chair, Gary Snyder made it very clear that many thanks to the City of Charlottetown Council, Mayor and Council, in responding very quickly to the reforestation of Victoria Park, our crown jewel of the park system, to get this done. As Nancy said, the day after, Fiona, it was one large task just to get into those, get into the
Oh, it was.
park. So
It
again,
was, yeah.
not
That
only
was- yeah.
administration, but council too. Thanks.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. So Simon, is that all you wanted to say on the consultant award for post-Fiona urban forest restoration strategy?
Certainly happy to answer any specific questions about the scoring or about the process, but our recommendation is to move forward with Dugan and Associates proposal.
Sure thing. Yeah, I see the score 96 versus 91. Trevor, do you have any questions?
No, all good.
Bobby, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
And Your Worship, do you have any questions?
Straight ahead.
Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder to move this on to council?
I'll move.
Thank you, Trevor. Have a seconder?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, let's move down to the Switch environmental impact update. Nick, I suppose that would be under you, Nick.
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update on just sort of the greenhouse gas impact of doing the Switch program. So
Yes.
just as a bit of background, Switch program has provided 0% interest loans for up to 715 projects, but it's even more today. The numbers kind of keep going up every day.
Okay.
So what's been given out so far for financing has been about 8.8 million, allocated 8.8 million in financing. And so for these projects, these 715 projects, the estimated greenhouse gas savings is about 2,200 tons of greenhouse gas per year.
Okay.
So just today, we've gotten an update from Pace Atlantic that with incoming rebates from Efficiency PEI and incoming loans being paid off, there's slightly more financing we can allocate. So that means more projects can be approved. So.
Sorry, say that again, Simon. Or say that again, Nick.
Well, so when rebates for, let's say, solar projects, we get those rebates kind of just come off the top of our numbers. So we can use that for providing financing for more projects. So, they've Pace Atlantic has kind of looked at their numbers again, and it just means about $200,000 more than the 9 million basically we can approve for financing. So that means just a few more people on the waiting list can get approved for loans through the program. So the previous estimates of maybe a few more weeks stretches out to maybe another month at most or so of financing. So as the loans come in, we can just sort of stretch that out a little bit more. But eventually, there is going to be within a month or two a point where there's not going to be any more loans approved, and we'll be just managing loans and paying off contractors at that point.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
the capital funding for the program is provided by the Green Municipal Fund. The total financing was the 9 million, but we're just slightly over that now. And we're at a point where we're currently not accepting any new applications. But anybody who's already gotten in contact with the program, they're considered onboarded. And so anybody that's been onboarded and gets their quotes in, they sign a participation agreement. They can still get through the program. It's just anybody that's starting from scratch now.
Right.
They're being told that they're not eligible for the financing.
Okay.
And so, based on these previous numbers, I was estimating that there'd be about 730 agreements once we got to the end of the financing. So it's going to be more than that, but based on those numbers, the annual greenhouse gas savings would be over 2,300 tons per year, or 3.17 tons per project, averaging out. So the annual.
So basically,
Yep.
sorry, go ahead.
Just the annual savings of all those finance projects is $950,000 per year, or $1,300 per project. So that's everyone who's got a loan to the program. Combined savings of almost $1 million per year. So for every $1 million of financing we've given out, it's about $105,000 of savings per year.
Wow. And so the total, what it looks like from the total loan of the program, the city will be saving 2,300 tons of greenhouse gases.
Per year, yes.
Correct?
Yes, exactly.
Per year, yeah.
And so just to put that number into perspective, there's a greenhouse gas inventory that the city has done in the past, and I'm currently updating with more annual numbers. And so from that, the residential sector of the entire city of Charlottetown, so that includes homes and apartments and everything, just where people live, that sector has about 88,000 tons per year that it emits. So the 2,300 tons savings per year equates to about 2.6% of that residential sector. So
we still have work to do.
Small piece, but still impressive that it's that much for the amount of money that we've put into it.
No, that's correct. That's correct. Any questions from the committee?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm just through the chair to Nick. Nick, have we financed this or budgeted under operational or capital for these loans? There's a financial liability for us, is there not, up front?
Well, so maybe Jessica could answer this a bit more, but so we collect disbursements of the funding from Green Municipal Fund, and there's always a bit of a lag, so that we're not giving out more than what we've gotten in disbursements from the funding.
And then, if I could just cut in there, Your Worship, this is not city dollars. This is coming from the Green Municipal Fund.
What's that? I can't just speak a little louder.
This is not city dollars. This is coming from the Green Municipal Fund, the $9 million. I think you're suggesting that that the city is providing some of these dollars for this program, the $9 million.
So
that's not the case.
No, what I'm clarifying is if someone or if a homeowner, a switch program participant does not pay on his or her loan or his or her loan, does the liability fall back with FCM or with the city? Who does it fall? That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah.
Through the chair to Nick. Yeah.
So, I guess the liability would sort of fall within the city. There is some sort of buffer room within the grant funding where there's a loan loss reserve. I think there's, at the moment, there really hasn't been any sort of default on any loans. So when we always kind of bring this up with Pace Atlantic, it's always sort of at a level where we've got plenty of buffer room there. It's just something that we kind of need to continue to think about as people continue to pay off these loans for the next possibly 10 years.
So we're collecting what we paid out.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I will just say, moving forward, on the switch program, and talking to some people with the province, I think they're looking to come out with a program somewhat mirrors the switch program. So we'll see where that goes. Just to let council, let the committee know. Because this program obviously is wrapping up. So I think there's going to be some requests for more. So the province right now, my understanding is they're looking to mirror a program very similar to this for the island. So, any other questions? Trevor, you good? Bobby, you good?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to Charlottetown Sustainability Citizens Group Partnership. Katrina?
Yeah, thank you. This report is to update you on the engagement component of the climate action planning process. So you may remember that we completed phase 1 of the project in April and had a final report from that. It summarized some benchmarking and research that was done, as well as some preliminary community and stakeholder engagement. But as we're moving into phase 2, we'll be taking, we're setting a strong base for our community engagement and really making that a priority as we move forward. So we have joined ICLEI's Building Adaptive and Resilient Communities program, as you may remember, and they're assisting us with our climate adaptation planning. We'll be doing most of the climate mitigation planning in-house, as well as most of the engagement for that. And then ICLEI will be helping us with the stakeholder engagement on the adaptation side. But we don't necessarily have as much support from them on the community engagement side, so outside of those key stakeholder groups. So as we've been planning our community engagement, we were approached by a local consultant working under the business name of Agora, who was looking to form a nonprofit climate advocacy group in Charlottetown called the Charlottetown Sustainability Citizens Group. And they approached us to work together on climate change-related community engagement. So in essence, this would be kind of like an advisory type board, but it would sit independently from the municipalities. So this has been done in other places to great success. A similar model is used for the St. John's Food Policy Council, where they work strongly with the municipality, receive some municipal funds and support, but also work independently. So with this, we would work with this citizens group, and they would act kind of like pollinators in the community. So they would go out and they would conduct community conversations on different climate change related topics, and then they would report back to us, and we could incorporate that information into the climate action plan. This has a number of benefits, but I'd say namely that it's community-led engagement, and that can create more accessible opportunities for engagement and more voices to be heard. Okay. So with that, we would give them a budget of $7,500 for them to offer 6 community engagements. This would be a year-long pilot project, just to see how it works, as this is a new model for us, and that also aligns with the timeline for the climate action plan, and would allow us to have community-led engagement every step of the way through that project. We'll also be doing staff-directed community engagement at the same time, as well as with support of ICLEI. And then at the end of all of this, we'll assess the outcomes and receive a final report, which we'll bring to the committee and see if it's something we'd like to pursue moving forward.
Okay, so Katrina, so the citizens group. So who, if I understand this correctly, who picks the residents that would be on the citizens group, or the people that would be on the citizens group?
Mm-hmm. So it would technically be open to anybody. The person sort of leading it is Israel Poulin, who's the head of the group, but it is open for anybody's involvement.
So would Agora, would the consultants be the ones that would do the discussions and pick the people that would be on the citizens committee?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he runs Agora, but then this would sort of be a side thing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions, Trevor or Bob, or your worship? No, I'm good.
Good things.
You're good, Trevor?
All good things.
So, Katrina, when do you see all this falling into place?
I think it will come together quickly. I think they're planning on starting the engagements in the next couple of months. I assume based on this timeline, it may end up being in the new year. Otherwise, they'll run into Christmas. But yeah, it'll start quite soon and then take place throughout the year till the end of next year.
Okay, perfect. So this is something that will no doubt start in the new year. It'll take probably 12 months to wrap up and get the recommendations back to us.
Yeah, I think you're a bit quiet, but I think I caught most of that. You're asking if they'll
sorry. Yeah. So basically, it'll start in the new year, and it'll take the 12 months, and so within a year, we should have a report on the recommendations.
Yeah, so basically the way that it will work, it may start before the new year. I'm not sure what their exact timelines are. I just have a feeling based on where we are in the year that it may be into January, but they'll report every step of the way. So I guess we don't have the exact timelines worked out. They'll do a final report for us probably next November, December. But with each engagement, we'll have follow-up from each of them so we can kind of incorporate that feedback in real time into the climate action plan. The bulk of our community engagement will be kind of into end of June, like starting in the new year into the end of June. And so we'll probably get them to follow a similar timeline so that we can incorporate it earlier than later.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Katrina.
Thank you.
Okay, no other comments on that? We'll move to expressive interest for the Transit Depot design build. Jessica, you want to take that?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report is to seek council endorsement of a two-step procurement process for the new transit depot, which is a design build project. And so step one we're proposing is an expression of interest, where we would have a shorter condensed request of interest where we would select the top 3 candidates, or up to the top 3 candidates, assuming we get 3. And then those top 3 would be selected to put together a full request for proposals. And just for a bit of background, this is a similar process that Public Works used for the Queen Street parkade. And so we'd be following a similar process with that. And the reason behind that is to do a full design and build project requires a lot of work and effort on behalf of a company to submit something. So this would show our interest in working with the top 3 to put something together. We would offer a stipend of $10,000 in recognition of that time to the top 3 candidates. And so this report is to request endorsement to proceed in that fashion because it's a little bit different than our normal practice. And I just want to say, just because a couple of you are online, Albert Gashi is in the room as well. Public Works will be leading this project when it comes to construction, and so he's here if there's any questions specific to the actual construction. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jessica. And I know we talked briefly on this before, and excuse me, I just want to make sure I understand this right, because this is a new process for us, and I know we did it with, as you say, the garage, the parking garages. So an RFP would go out, and then if we had 3 or 5, whatever, we would pick the top 3, and then those top 3, we would give a stipend to be able to go in and do the design and so on, report back to council, and then the 3 would report back to council on the work they've done to proceed with this new build for us. Did I got that correct?
Mr. Chair, so the first step would be expression of interest, which would go out and anyone could express interest in producing a request for proposals. So if we got 10, we would score those expression of interest based on their previous experience, qualifications. There'll be a different scoring matrix set up for that. The top 3 would be chosen, and those 3 people would get the stipend to then proceed with the request for proposals.
Okay, so and I just want to clarify, the reason we're doing this is what? Because usually when we get an expressive interest and then it gets narrowed down, usually do they not put in a proposal and the price is built in, as opposed to us giving the $10,000? Like, what's the idea of the $10,000 stipend?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the recommendation came forward because I think there was concern that because it's such a big project, there might not be a lot of companies that could bid on this, and it might be daunting to take the time and resources that's needed to put this together and risk not getting the project. So it's in recognition of there's a lot of competition out there, and we want people to bid on this. So we want to make it enticing, and in recognition of the amount of time and staffing it does take to put a proposal together.
Okay. So basically, we could do the expressive interest, and people are show interest. But the fear is that after that point, there's a lot of work that goes in with the design and doing up the report. And so, if you're not going to win that bid, it may not be worth spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on doing that up. That's why we do the stipend then.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from the committee?
Just a comment. I don't have a question, I guess, but for us to have 3 proposals come in and spend $30,000, how new is this process? Because it just seems strange to me that we're not just taking the top companies that are coming in that want to build this, and instead of just I understand the enticement and trying to get the best company to do the job, but we're throwing away $30,000. Only one of them companies is going to be successful. So 2 companies are walking away with $10,000 and don't get the contract.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can speak to that, and if Albert needs to jump in, then he can jump in as well. But my understanding is it's not an uncommon practice in the private sector. It's quite common, and people spend a lot more money than this on the stipend for the expression of interest, up to 1% of the total build cost. So it was recommended that we actually spend more money on the stipend, but to be in line with what we've done before, we've kept it at that amount. So it's not an uncommon practice, it's just fairly new to the city.
Is the Queen Street Parkade, when we voted on approving the $10,000 stipend to the contractor, is that the first time that the city has done this?
Yeah.
I'm getting it out of the head, so that's first. So
It's the only time I'm aware of, but
So is this
It
going
is the
to
only
be
time.
moving forward, Mr. Chair? Is this what the city is going to be doing, or maybe to his worship? I'm not sure.
Well, I think this is something that's being recommended. We'll hear from Albert. We'll see what Albert has to say, because I did have the same concerns as to have 3, and then, so if one of the 3 figures, they don't want to put a whole lot of time in it, but they put something together and they get a $10,000 stipend. How do you prevent that from happening? So, but if Albert, if you want to speak up on this, because you've been involved in this heavily with the Queen's Parkade, and I understand Public Works is recommending this to go this route. Can you speak on that, Albert?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, in terms of moving forward, it really depends. This is a special type of project. So usually what we've done with the Public Works building and with Fire Hall Designs is those are design bid build projects, where this is a design build project. So design bid build is different because you have engineers and designers, and that's kind of sequential. So you design your building first, you pay an architect or a firm, and then from there, they put together a tender package. You go out, you get a construction company to bid on it, and then you have, people working together. This design build project, the reason we are looking to do that is because things can happen simultaneously. So once you award it to your final construction company or to your final successful proponent, the schedule will move faster. There's usually less cost growth in the whole procedures because you have one company which is doing the design and the building, and they can procure materials and things at different times because they know what they're designing and that they're actually going to be building it. In terms of the Queen Street Parkade, I believe we only had two bids on that. So we ended up giving them $10,000 each. For this, we're saying 3 at $10,000. The successful bidder, once we pick the top 3, if we even get 3, 10,000 of that they've already used that money, and it's still, you're using that money even if you're only going to go with a RFP where you don't pay anybody. So it seems like you're maybe throwing away 20, but you're not, because we also have those bids and we can use those from other companies in the new design for the new building. So you're spending, $20,000 up front, but because this is the process we're following, the thought is, and what's seen in the field is, you're going to save more time, money, and increase the schedule for the whole site. So this is something that we can look at doing in the future for bigger projects, especially when we're trying to expedite the construction phase and make things kind of happen faster. So hopefully that answers a few questions.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the total capital project cost too for this is, something in the realm of almost $30,000, including $30 million, sorry, including electric bus procurements, and we have a lot of ISIP funding for this too. I think Jessica, maybe you can. I think like 30% of that or so is going to be ISIP funding, or at least so. Spending $20,000 when this is a $30 million project isn't.
Yeah, no, that's what I
we're
was
getting
gonna
good bang for our buck there, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, because I was just wondering what the percentage of the total cost. It was a $30 million project, so that makes sense. Albert.
Yeah, and
Thank you
sorry,
for that.
to interrupt, just one more thing is just,
Yep.
if we were just to go out to RFP, the kind of the thought for having this stipend or honorarium, or different people call it different things, is because it does take a lot of work. So, we're, at the end of the day, we're gonna be picking one construction company to do the final design and the construction for this. If we just put it out there, companies, it's gonna cost them probably more than $10,000 in some cases to put together a good package. And because we haven't done anything this large scale before, and we don't have any, internal experience for, criteria of how to pick that company, you can have people out there who, just say they're gonna do it for a price and they may win it, but then when we go into doing the design, we come up with issues, and we need a better quality proposal, because the final RFP is going to have cost estimates. So not giving them a little bit of room to work with that, we would have higher variancy in what they say it's going to cost later on.
No, you
Exactly.
bring up a good point, because I wondered that also. The $10,000 stip, and chances are it costs them more than the $10,000 to do up the proposal.
Yes, absolutely. And then, we're looking at, saving money on change orders in the future as well, so.
Right. Okay. Does that answer the question for you, Trevor?
Yes, it does. Just two is where is the money budgeted out of? And because we're probably going to be continuing doing these processes down in the future, where it's coming from. And is this building, is it green?
Yeah, I think in the report there, it says up to 30,000 stipends will come from the Transit Depot's 23-24 capital budget. Did you hear me on that?
Thank you, Chair.
Yep, no, you're welcome. Any other questions from the committee?
Yep, I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, through the chair to Albert. Albert, it's an expression of interest for Transit Depot design build. You're estimating $30 million for the Transit Depot? I just want to get clarification on what.
No,
Sure.
no, that's including the buses that
Yeah,
we're going to be.
okay, so what's your estimate for the Transit Depot? What's your estimate? I think we're estimating at 5 million, were we not? Okay, so we have an estimate?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, I can speak to that because I've got the budget numbers in front of me.
Sure.
So in the
Yep.
ISIP application, so what Albert was speaking to is an overall project we put to ISIP, which included fleet refurbishment, new diesel buses, new electric buses. That's the whole project. The depot specifically, which includes solar panels and battery storage, is budgeted around 13.5 million.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, and Jessica made reference to the Queen Street Parkade. Just remember that that's a little more complex, that issue, because of past arrangements. And the reason we had to go with design build, because of the complexity of that project. And I think Albert is quite familiar with the two terms. There is design bid, which is design bid build. That's usually the path that we take. You hire a design team like Sable Arc. They prepare a contract. You go out to contract, then you hire a general contractor. The other one is, which is you're proposing, is a design build, is under a design build contract, the owner hires one company to oversee the design and construction of the new property, also known as a single entity construction project. Like, all we're building here is a transit shed. Like, to me, when it comes to building, I'm a traditionalist. I'm a more my preference is design build, design bid, design bid build. That's my preference. I think then we don't have to put out money to give the possible proponents some cash or a stipend to back up some of their cost. Again, the purpose of what we did across the street, the Queen Street Parkade, was because of the complexity of that issue. And we have two bidders. So my preference is the design bid build, not this design build, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay. So, so staff's recommendation is to go with the, not the design build, but the, sorry?
Excuse me, Mr. I could speak to that. Sorry to interrupt.
Sure thing.
So
Yeah.
we're kind of already maybe a little past that point of trying to go back to design bid build, especially because this decision was made earlier, and we have a consultant that we've used to kind of do an overall layout of this. That's WSP, and one of the bigger reasons to do design build is our time scale and schedule. So if we can go back and kind of switch things up and do design bid build, but we're under obligation to meet ISIP requirements for the final construction of this building, which is, I believe, Jessica, April or by end of fiscal 2026. So, if we've gotten information from our consultants, from other people. The reason to do design build is because it's going to be faster. And again, this is, it's a transit shed, as you call it, but it is pretty complicated. It's going to be fully net zero again. Just like going back to our public works building, this is even larger. And it isn't, I don't think it's quite as simple as just building it. There's some other things that have to go into it, and it's a fairly large project. So,
well, it's definitely got.
And
Go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead, Your Worship.
Okay, it's definitely in no comparison an addition added to BioVectra. This is a transit shed, which is I know you're looking at net zero. I think we've accomplished that through the new water and wastewater and public parks, recreation, and leisure building on Brackley Point Road. Again, solar panels. You have the thermal heat and coolant system. I understand that, but again, if you've already started the process with design build, I don't know why we're discussing it now, because it looks like we can't get out of it. Either it goes design bid build or design build, but this WSP has already started the design build initiative or idea. Is that correct? Clarify me if I'm wrong.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the request, we could go two ways. One is straight to design build, or expression of interest and design build. So the request today is to take the extra step of doing expression of interest, then moving to design build.
Yeah, and I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I was just clarifying.
So,
request.
Okay, and so the reasoning to go with the design build is because it ends up one, it's because it's a net zero building for electrification of buses, and it's quicker. Is that correct? And we have a deadline of April 2026 to have this completed to get the ISIP funding. Is that correct, Albert?
Yeah, that's correct. So design build versus design bid build, and there's always certain people will argue different aspects of it, but one thing that probably is usually unarguable, especially in our case, because we're in a municipality and we have to come back to council for further approvals every time. So if we did design bid build, we would have to put out an RFP to hire a consultant to do the full design, then put out an RFP to hire a contractor to do that design, and then anytime we have certain change orders, which you could say would happen more often, we would have to come back and get approvals again. Design build is going to be one large contract at the start. It's going to make things faster, and there's evidence sometimes to state that you're going to have less cost overruns, less cost of bigger change orders, and things will happen faster. So that's
So it's a good chance you could probably save that $20,000 or $30,000.
Yes.
Cost overruns and other costs. Okay. All right. If there's no more questions, then I'll ask the committee. So, Trevor, do you want to go design build or design bid build? What's your vote? In other words, staff recommendation is design build. What the mayor's suggesting is design bid build. Which do you want to go with?
So I think the question is it's kind of going design build at this point. I think the kind of question in the report resolution is whether we do this stipend to get 3 expressions of interest and 3 parties, which we then allow them to go in and give them the RFP for the full design.
Well, that's basically what I'm asking, Albert.
Okay.
Right? So the design bill will require those stipends. So, Trevor, what's your vote?
Well, the decision has already been done, as Albert stated earlier. Status quo, go ahead. Don't agree with the $30,000 going out the door, but I think it's going to go, it's going to happen. We can't go back to what we want. So.
Well, I think we can. I'm not quite understanding this. Your decision's already made. I mean, is the decision made, or are you asking us to make a decision? So Jessica or Albert? Because I find it strange the decision's already made, because like the mayor said, why is it here? I mean, I would think you would get permission from council before you decide to move ahead on the decision. So is the decision made, or do we need to make a decision?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the decision being made or asked of council is to decide whether or not we can spend money on an expression of interest before we go into design build. So that is the question on the table. So does council endorse an expression of interest before we go to design build?
Okay.
One more question.
So,
if we say no
yes,
to
go ahead.
this, what happens?
They won't go with the 10,000.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So if we don't do expression of interest, we run the risk of companies potentially not putting in a bid. We run the risk of companies maybe not feeling compensated for the time that they need to put into this. Albert, is there any other things you want to add?
Yeah, we also run the risk of not getting quality reports for the RFP. So if companies if they know they're not going to get compensated, that they may not do as much due diligence into cost estimating how much it will take them to complete this project. So they will just, they're going to overestimate it, and then we're probably not going to get any money back on that end. So, not only that, but then even if we don't get any bids, then we're behind schedule already. So the request, putting this stipend out there is, the thought and the theory is it's going to help us save money in the future by giving these companies some time. And, you're looking at it, $10,000 of this 30, which may not even be 30, we may only get 1 request for interest here, or we may get 2, so it may only be 10 that you're saying you're throwing it away, but it's not a throwaway, because you're going to save more money from the company that you will hire, because they're going to do more due diligence and they're going to have a better proposal for you.
Okay.
No, thank you, Albert. I like that explanation. So, no.
Yeah, that's good.
All good for
So, Trevor, where are you on it, Trevor?
Go ahead with
Go
the
ahead.
expression of interest.
Bob, where are you on it?
Yeah, go ahead. I guess if that's the road we're going down.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, I'm just looking at the second paragraph. So it's to provide a $10,000 stipend up to 3 bidders. That's what we're really talking about today. But if we went out and did a design bid build, we wouldn't be worried about this, 10,000 per.
No, but we would have to, it would be a different type of contract, and then we would have to pay somebody to do just the design. And then you were paying somebody to do the project management, probably between the designer and the contractor when you do a construction company as well. It's a different type of project altogether.
But the successful bidder will eventually get paid for the design and overseeing the project. All those costs will not be gratis. They will be part of their submission. So
Yeah.
firstly is the 10,000 that we're going to provide up to 3 bidders. I think this could be, we're setting a precedent, and I repeat, the reason we did it for Queen Street Parkade, because of the complexity and the issue that we faced over there at the Queen Street Parkade. Going forward, it looks like this is the way we're going, which means we'll be looking
I
at
think
putting out
it's not-
10,000 per bidder in the future.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was well explained. I think there's just reasons we're going this way, and I think so. Council has voted, and they want to continue to go this way, and I concur with them. Not that my vote counts; there's no tie. Unless anybody's changed their mind, Trevor and Bob, you still go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll bring it to council
Okay.
and discuss it there.
Yeah. Okay. So move on to council. So I have a mover and a seconder, and Trevor and Bob. So is there any other questions on anything, guys? Because that's the end of the agenda that I have. So if there's not, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Moved, seconded by? Sure. Seconded by Bob. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Take care. Have a great day.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye-bye.